What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Infamously Speaking, and today we talk about NBA free agency, react to some of the big moves, and kind of talk about the landscape of the NBA. A lot has happened, a lot has shifted. But before we jump into that, if you're not already subscribed to the Infamously Speaking YouTube channel, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever we drop content just like this. Second, follow us on our socials. They're right underneath me in this video, and they're also in the description. TikTok has been awesome. Instagram has been awesome. YouTube has been awesome. So continue to come with those comments, hot takes. We love it. We respond to every comment. Love the community. So thank you. Keep it going. Lastly, Infamously Speaking merch is live. You can also find that in the bio below. Going to be giving some away pretty soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Got to be following us on social media to make sure you know when the giveaway happens. Okay, let's jump into NBA free agency. We're only about 48 hours in, and it's already been insane. But it's only right that we start with the defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder, re-signing SGA to make sure. Let me make sure I get the number right, because it is gaudy. 4-year, $285 million Supermax extension. My goodness. Well-deserved, obviously. Regular season MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, Finals MVP. He was incredible. Well-deserved, highest AAV in NBA history, and he's earned it, so congrats to Shai. But is this the start of Oklahoma City dynasty? I mean, this is kind of what everybody was talking about after they won, and I know the conversation always happens after somebody wins is this the first of many? This is going to be the first of many. Well, the Western Conference is not about to let that happen. Houston's been loading up. Dallas looks like they could be dangerous. San Antonio's loading up. Let's start with the Texas Triangle. Obviously, we all saw what happened on draft night. Dallas, first overall pick, drafting Cooper Flagg. Of course, we all knew that was going to happen. Home run pick. Doesn't even need to be super impactful in his first year because he has a bunch of impact players around him. But they also make another move, signing D'Angelo Russell, which I think is a great move. Because of the Kyrie injury, you're not really sure when you're going to get him back, if you get him back at all next season. So you can have that guard right there that's going to take Kyrie's place, not as much as a playmaker, but could definitely help you in the scoring output right there as Cooper Flagg continues to grow and develop. Obviously, if Anthony Davis stays healthy, they have a lot of talent on that Dallas roster. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Dallas does in the West this year. I expect them to be around that 6th spot in the Western Conference, either in the playoffs or that first team in the play-in. They definitely have the talent. So excited to see what that team becomes. Moving on to San Antonio, who I think is going to be a little bit better than Dallas. De'Aaron Fox, a full year with him. Stephon Castle, second year. Obviously drafting Dylan Harper, stud out of Rutgers. That's going to be exciting to watch. San Antonio also bringing in Luke Kornet, who could be an impact player. We saw what he was able to do against the Knicks in some of those playoff games. Interesting for the amount of money, 4 for 41. But definitely think he's going to be able to impact the game. So San Antonio is going to be an interesting team to watch this season. Mix of good young players, some veterans in there like Fox, and another year, hopefully, of healthy Wemby. That's the biggest key for San Antonio is Wemby staying healthy. San Antonio is going to be a big problem. And then now moving to the last of the Texas Triangle, and probably the most win now, ready to compete, ready to challenge OKC at the moment, Houston Rockets. When they traded for KD, I came on here and said, I don't think this puts them over Oklahoma City. But they continue to make moves. They didn't just stop with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was the first pickup. Then they go and get Clint Capella. Then they go and sign Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a pretty good 3-and-D type of guy. And, of course, Clint Capella, second stint in Houston, big rim protecting, good rebounding. Houston's roster, they go like 10 deep now. You want to talk about having depth. And I think they saw Oklahoma City and they saw Indiana in the finals and were like, hey, yes, we need big playmakers, right? SGA, Tyrese. But the supporting cast is just as important. And not just a supporting cast, but bench depth. I mean, how huge was TJ McConnell? How huge was Alex Caruso? And so now they have this bench unit is looking crazy. It's looking crazy for them. Obviously, the starting 5 of Van Fleet, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., Alfred Sengun, looks incredible. But then you get off the bench, Clint Capella, Steven Adams, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard, Dorian Finney-Smith. This team is deep, dangerous, and has the depth to match Oklahoma City. Amen Thompson can guard SGA. It's going to be interesting to see. Of course, we expect another leap in development from J-Dub. This will be his 4th season coming up. SGA, we expect him to become a more consistent three-point shooter, but they might have to make some bigger strides than we initially thought because Houston was like, hey, the time is now. Foot on the gas pedal. Obviously, re-upped Udoka's contract, extended Jabari Smith Jr. on that rookie extension, re-sign and bringing back Fred VanVleet. These guys aren't messing around. Houston's like, now's our time. Now's our time to go. And the crazy thing about Houston is they still got so much in the reserves that they can do. They are making moves in Houston. So be on the lookout. The Texas Triangle is ready to take over the NBA. Now, another team in the West that everybody rid off. Everybody's like, they just don't have enough. Yeah, they got the greatest player in the world, but that's not enough. That can't be the team. The Denver Nuggets, who, remember, took the champions to 7 games, went and made some big moves. The trade of Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson is an upgrade for them. And that's no disrespect to Michael Porter Jr. NBA champion, can fill up the bucket, but a little bit inconsistent, I think we all can agree. And also defensively, not as good as Cam Johnson. With Cam Johnson, you know what you're getting. A better defender, more versatile on-ball, off-ball player. Also, what's big is that he's not as expensive as Michael Porter Jr. So that allowed them to go and make other moves like bringing back Bruce Brown, who was a key piece of their championship run. So you got Tim Hardaway Jr., who can knock down threes at a credible clip. We saw that in Detroit in the Knicks playoff series. Bruce Brown, a proven veteran. Of course, all your key pieces are still there. Jokic is not going anywhere. Jamal Murray's still there. Aaron Gordon's still there. I like what Denver's done. I think Denver's done a pretty good job being able to get out of that MPJ contract, slide in a player of a similar caliber player, maybe a little bit more consistent in Cam Johnson, who everybody was trying to get away from the Nets. It was him and Mikal Bridges, who were the prize pieces on the Nets. Of course, the Knicks got him last offseason. So it's just Cam Johnson, and Denver was able to get him away from the Nets and giving up MPJ. So I think Denver got better. So here's what I'm thinking about for the West, and let me know how you feel about it. OKC, until proven otherwise, you got to give them the respect as champions. SGA, of course, while I don't think he's the best player in the league, he is the best player on the best team. And I think he's the 3rd best player in the league. You can make the argument third, fourth between him and Luka. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt. In second, I think Houston is there. You know, I said that on the recap show. I don't think the Kevin Durant move pushed them past 2, but I think what they've done, adding more, definitely puts them in a firm 2 in my mind that now can compete for that first overall seed. So it's going to be interesting to see that battle. Like I said, the depth is there. They can match depth with Oklahoma City. They got great defenders that can get up to Shai, get up to J-Dub, get up to Chet. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Like I said about Dallas, I think Dallas is kind of hovering around that 6 to 7 to 8, last playoff, early play-in seeding. And then the Spurs, this is the interesting wild card one. If Wemby's healthy, I like him in the 5 to 6 spot in the West, potentially even in the top 4. I think they just have so much talent. They have so much talent. And I think they're only going to get better. Like I said, another year with Castle, a full year of De'Aaron Fox in that system. Wemby, Dylan Harper. They still have Jeremy Shohan. They still have Vassell. They got pieces. And I think Mitch Johnson is going to do a great job bringing those pieces together. And they have probably, outside of Houston and OKC, the most potential, in my opinion, to just go off on an incredible run. Dallas without Kyrie, we don't know when he's coming back. Of course, Cooper Flagg's exciting, but Kyrie is a critical piece. So that's why I don't have them a little bit higher. Who goes in those 3 and 4 spots? Well, that's really what's interesting about the Western Conference. So last year, it was the Lakers, it was the Nuggets. The Lakers haven't made any moves. Now they have been linked to DeAndre Ayton, especially since the Bucks got Myles Turner. We'll talk about that. DeAndre Ayton was a place for that Milwaukee was a place where people thought DeAndre Ayton could possibly land, but of course, with the Myles Turner acquisition, they have no need for DeAndre Ayton. So that kind of makes the Lakers the kind of obvious fit for DeAndre. They need a big. He's super capable. I don't know if the Lakers are the 3 seed again. To be honest with you, I could see the Nuggets. I think the T-Wolves, obviously they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But bringing back Julius Randle, who had a great year. Bringing back Naz Reid, who's ready to step into an increased role. Another year of Ant development. They could be the 3-4. So here's my take on it. Western Conference standings. So Thunder won. Like the Thunder out. So here's my way too early Western Conference standings, how I think things will play out. Thunder first, Rockets second, Nuggets third, T-Wolves fourth, Clips at 5. I like the Clippers' consistency. Spurs 6, Mavs 7, Lakers 8, and then take who you want. Grizzly could be the Kings potentially. Trailblazers have made some moves, even though the Anthony Simons thing was a little bit weird for me. And so some people might feel like, hey, wow, Lakers at 8, they were the 3 seed. You got to remember that in the Western Conference seeding, and I have it pulled up because I didn't remember off the top of my head how close of a race this was. The 2 and the 8 seed in the West, 2 through 8, had a difference of 4 games between them. Rockets were in second with 52 wins. The Grizz won 48, and they were the 8th seed. So just keep that in mind. When I say, hey, the Lakers potentially an 8 seed, doesn't mean they're not going to be a good team. Doesn't mean they're not going to have a good record. Doesn't mean that at all. That's how tightly contested the Western Conference is. So Lakers fans, don't get all crazy. Don't get your panties in a bunch saying, oh, are you kidding me? Team of Luka Doncic and LeBron James? Relax. Y'all could still win easily. Y'all could still win 49, 48 games. And Memphis won 48 and they found themselves in the 8th seed. So don't come at me. Y'all got to make a move. Is it DeAndre Ayton? I don't know. We'll see. Does LeBron stay? I think so. He opted in, but then he's saying some stuff like, oh, we're monitoring the situation. Who knows what that means? We don't know. So don't be mad. 8th seed. All right, let's move to the East before Laker fans start to they find a way to get onto this recording somehow and start frying me. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference. Obviously, the big news, the big shifter, the big leveler, the big whatever you want to call it in the Eastern Conference has been the Achilles injury. Dame goes down, Tatum goes down, Hallie goes down. 3 major pieces on 3 of the top contenders in the East. And so what does that cause? That caused a power grab in the East, unlike we've seen in a long time. Atlanta is like, hey, wait a second. 3 of the better teams had 3 major injuries. I think we could go for something here. Traded for Kristaps, which I thought was a good move for them. Signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Good defender, could shoot 3 well. Does a lot of great things on the court. Luke Kennard from the Grizzlies, who's an interesting player, could shoot the ball. But also, maybe the heist of the draft. And I like New Orleans draft just because of the players that they got. Fears. I think Derek Queen's going to be a baller. But in getting Derek Queen, they made a trade with Atlanta to get that pick to acquire Derek Queen. And they gave up their first next year unprotected. And it's not just a normal first. It's a first that's a swap. So meaning it's either going to be New Orleans pick or it'll be Milwaukee's pick. Now, Milwaukee just made a big move bringing in Myles Turner, but we still don't know. Apparently, Giannis was unpleased with the move. So is Giannis going to be a buck going all of next season or going into this season? We're not sure about that yet. But what that means for Atlanta is whatever pick is higher, they are going to take that pick. So if you're New Orleans in a super competitive West where you're probably not even, you might be the 11th seed, the 12th seed, you're picking in the lottery. That could be a top 3 pick. That could be a top 5 pick. You have no idea. Look at the Mavs had some of the longest odds to win, and they won the lottery. So you have no clue what that pick could be as. And if for some reason Giannis is gone and Milwaukee becomes terrible, if Milwaukee has a better pick than what New Orleans was, then Atlanta takes that one. Atlanta's in a very good position. And remember, they had the first overall pick last year and drafted Shai, who they're probably looking to get another year of growth and development with. So Atlanta's an interesting team in the East. I think Orlando, and people have been killing Orlando for the Desmond Bane trade, but I talked about this when we had Quan on the show. We were talking about, and shout out to my guy Quan, huge Orlando fan. But we were talking about this. Orlando has had a history of having a star, not getting them help, and then the star moves on. Shaq, Penny, right? They have a star in Paolo, potential superstar in Paolo. But instead of waiting, because they need help, watch back that Celtics series. They got killed in the non-Paolo minutes. Destroyed. So they're like, hey, we need another scorer. We need a shooter because their three-point shooting was atrocious. So what do they go and do? Desmond Bane. Can create offense, hits the three really well, plays good defense, and feel like they gave up too much. Listen, you see a guy, you like the player, you go get the player. The Knicks just did that. And people are like, well, the Knicks overpaid. Well, guess what? Mikal Bridges is a big reason why the Knicks made their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. You see a guy, you love the guy, you go get him. That's how it should work. You can't be scared. Oh, what could those four future first round picks turn into? Who cares if you win? That doesn't matter what they turn into. You won. It doesn't matter. You achieved something. Here's the thing. Desmond Bane is a proven NBA pro impact player. There's no guarantee what you're getting in the NBA draft is going to be that, especially when you're Orlando and you're not going to be a lottery team. Not in the East. They're too good to be a lottery team in the East. So you're going to be picking 15th or later. You're hoping in all of those drafts. So what do those picks mean if you're good? That's what I don't think people understand. Proven commodity over potential asset, especially when you have a stud in Paolo Banchero and you have a good player in Franz Wagner and you got some good role players in Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black and Jonathan Isaac. You have a decent roster, and the East is as weak as it's been in a very long time with these injuries. You take your swing for it. I love what Orlando did. And then also adding Tyus Jones, a true point. I know Jalen Suggs was supposed to slot in there. He's not really a natural playmaker. Tyus Jones is extremely good assist turnover ratio, gets teammates involved early and often, be able to run the offense. Paolo won't have to work for his shot as hard as he had to. I mean, you look at those games, especially against Boston, whenever he went to the bench, he looked gassed because Boston made him work. When you have a natural playmaker that could set you up, that changes a whole lot. Orlando is a team to watch. My opinion, top 4 team in the East, easily coming next year. But we'll get into my thoughts of Eastern Conference standings going into next season. But that is a dangerous young core there in Central Florida. Be on the lookout for the Orlando Magic. Next team, Milwaukee. Boy, did we think we'd be talking about Milwaukee making a big free agent move? I don't think so. Their cap situation was no bueno. No, they couldn't give up any future picks. And yet they were able to add Myles Turner on a 4-year, $107 million deal. And that's big for 2 reasons. Number one, Brook Lopez departed for LA, the Clippers, in free agency. So you lose your big man who can shoot the three. But not only that, you take away one of Indiana's core pieces. Somebody in your division, an arch rival, but also the team that was just in the ECF. Now we know Indiana wasn't going to be competing seriously next year without Tyrese. At least that's the feeling. But it's interesting from Indiana's standpoint. This is not a ton of money to give up. I mean, this is what, 26, 27 mil a year for a guy who's your longest tenured player, 10 years. And I know he didn't have the best finals. I know he didn't have the best playoff run in general. I know that. But a big who could space the floor, knock down a three, if he can get any kind of consistent offense going, he could be a problem. And it's going to complement Giannis very well because Giannis likes having an open lane to operate. And Myles Turner, because he could shoot the three, you got to respect that. You can't sag off of him too much on defense. They also brought back Kevin Porter Jr. They bring in Gary Harris, who's a very capable scorer. And of course, what everybody's talking about is to bring in Myles Turner, they had to waive Dame Lillard. And whenever you see a player on the mend, a player who came back, probably rushed back from injury. A lot of people were saying when that injury happened because he was dealing with the blood clots before. You know, it's a whack situation to see that. But it just reminds you that the NBA is a business. And teams are going to do whatever they feel is best for business. And you can't fault the team for doing that because, again, they're a business. And Dame's going to get his money. right? They just extended the contract. So now I believe it's like 24-ish million. I could be wrong on the number, maybe a little high. Anywhere between like 20 to 24 million a year, stretched over the next 5 years. So now you bring in Myles Turner, and you still got that Dame contract. So pretty much this is like a $50 million per year move for Milwaukee, because you got to eat Dame's salary, and then you got Myles Turner's salary on the books. And what day more fitting than July 1st to have deferred money on the books? That's Bobby Bonilla Day for those that don't know. Bobby Bonilla, the legendary Mets contract, he's been getting, I forget what the amount is, a mil something, every year. I think he gets it until 2031 or something like that, because he deferred money in his contract. And that happens a lot, especially in baseball. You think about Shohei Ohtani's contract, 10 years, $700 million. He's only making $2 million a year during the 10 playing years, and then $68 million a year for the 10 years after that. They're probably going to stretch that out, of course, but pause. They're probably going to spread that out, of course, but wow, double pause. They're probably going to find a way to pay that out over a longer term. Not sure if that was better. Anyways, deferred money happens, but we haven't seen anything like this in the NBA. By far the longest kind of deferred payment of a player that's no longer on your roster that we've seen in the NBA. So this puts Milwaukee right back up there, though, in my opinion. As long as you got Giannis, you're going to be contender, especially in the East. Myles Turner is an extremely capable player. So let's not knock Myles Turner. I know, like I said, he had a rough playoff run, but stretches the floor. He could be a good rebounder if he's in the paint, shoot the ball, rim protection, but also, most importantly, spaces the floor enough so Giannis can operate in the lane. That's all you need. Now, reportedly, Giannis isn't super happy about how the whole Dame thing went down. So again, let's see what happens. But as presently constructed, Milwaukee's a contender in the East. They have to be. Giannis plus capable players around him equals contender, especially in the Eastern Conference. Now let's talk about some solid moves before I talk about Eastern Conference landscape rankings. And really, there's only one team I want to talk about. And I have to talk about them. You see the NY on my head. Got to talk about the Knicks. Have to talk about the Knicks because the biggest problem with the Knicks, outside of the fact that they don't have a head coach right now, but reports are saying that they are narrowing down on Mike Brown, was their bench. That was the biggest thing come playoff time. Their starters looked gassed towards the end of the game, especially in the Indiana series where they had to run up and down the court a whole bunch because the pace of play which Indiana plays with. They kind of give the league the blueprint of here's how you can beat the Knicks if you have the depth. Last couple of championships were deep rosters. And so the Knicks got exposed on that. 7-man rotation ain't going to work. So what do? Jordan Clarkson it's reported that Jordan Clarkson, after he clears waivers, intends to sign with the Knicks. He's a great piece coming off the bench, able to give you buckets, run offense through when Jalen needs a breather. And then Guerschon Yabusele, who I think is an underrated signing by the Knicks, had a really good year for Philly. Had a career year, in fact, in Philly, averaging 11 points in 27 minutes, about 6 rebounds. Big one is 38% from the 3-point line, 50% from the field overall. Another scorer off the bench. Say the Knicks roster remains as presently constructed. Your first unit is going to be Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns. Then your reserve unit is going to be Deuce McBride. You're going to have Jordan Clarkson. You're going to have Guerschon. You're going to have Mitch Robinson. And then, whoever the Knicks end up bringing back. That's a solid 9-man squad. And then, Shamet played well in stints. DeLon Wright, if they bring him back, he played well. So you bring back the right piece. You can have a real 9 to 10-man rotation of players you trust, players who played meaningful minutes in the NBA, players who can contribute, which is not something the Knicks have had in a long time. The Knicks are seeing it. It can't just be a star-studded 5. It needs to be a really good starting 5, which the Knicks have. You could put them up against any starting 5 in the league. Not saying that they're better than any starting 5 in the league, but you're like, hey, I'll give them a chance, that starting 5. And then you pair that with a lot of talent coming off the bench, capable offense. They're not going to stall or slow down when Jalen has to take a rest. The Knicks are a really interesting team. I love the moves that they've made so far. Don't need to make anything big or splashy. We heard about Cat potentially being traded if Giannis or KD was available. The Knicks didn't want to get in the KD business. Giannis hasn't requested a trade. The Knicks haven't done anything crazy. Like, you know what? The crazy news was firing their coach and then getting rejected on every coach they reached out to. But as far as player signings, love what they've done so far. So, Eastern Conference fallout, where does that leave us? What are we talking about? Well, here is how I see the East shaking off. I promise no bias. Here's what I got. I got the Knicks, numero uno, running the East. Number 2, Cleveland Cavaliers. Still a good team. Donovan Mitchell's a beast. Darius Garland's a good player. Let's see what his health's like going into the season. That's why I think they're not going to be 64-18. Right, they're still dealing with some stuff, getting guys healthy. Number 3, gotta go with Milwaukee in that spot. Have to. Like I said, they weren't a super great team last year. Still won 48 games. They're gonna get healthy Myles Turner. They're gonna get healthy Giannis, and really bringing back a lot of the same players. Of course, minus Dame, who was in and out of the lineup last year. Number 4, Orlando Magic. I really like the moves they made. They were 41-41, 7th seed in the East last season. First team in the play-in. I like what they've done. Hey, everybody. Post-recording Matt here. I was listening back, editing that show, and realized my audio at this point of the video kind of got a little bit wonky. So I wanted to come back and re-record my Eastern Conference standings 5 through 8, 9-ish, just to make sure that y'all got my thoughts on that. Coming in at number 5, the Boston Celtics. And this might surprise some folks. This might not. I think this is an appropriate place to rank the Celtics. I still think that they're a very capable team in the Eastern Conference. I just think that the top 4, they got better. And the Celtics are missing their best player, their second best player, according to Quan. Their best player in Jason Tatum. But JB, still a stud. Derek White, still a stud. Joe Mazzulla, still a great coach. 3-point shooting is still going to be fantastic. They're a very capable team in the East. I think the veteran leadership that they have, the talent that they have, and their ability to get the most out of players is going to give them the leg up. Yes, I know Drew Holiday's not there. Yes, I know Tatum is hurt. Yes, I know Al is going to depart. Yes, I know that Cornette's already gone. But all that being said, I still like Boston in the East. Lock them into that 5 slot. Moving on, 6th seed. I said earlier, no disrespect to the Detroit Pistons. This is no disrespect to the Detroit Pistons, I promise you. But I have them finishing 6th again in the East. Here's why. Detroit, Cade Cunningham, feel like he's only going to get better. He's going to go back. He's going to watch his games, especially those games against the Knicks, where there were times where he felt like a little passive, where he had some space to shoot some 3 balls that he didn't take because his shot wasn't falling. I think he corrects that. I think he becomes more efficient. You get a whole year of Jaden Ivey. Fingers crossed he comes back healthy and ready to go. He was playing great before he got hurt. Yes, I know you lost Tim Hardaway. I get that. Yes, I know you lost Schroeder. I get that. 2 big veterans on your team who played some good minutes in the playoffs. Yes, I know Malik Beasley's situation. But I think JB Bickerstaff and his coaching staff and the pieces they have on that roster have enough talent to be a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, which might put a lot of fans in this team in a little bit of an uproar, and that's my 7th seed, and that's the Atlanta Hawks. Now, here's the thing with Atlanta. Interesting moves. I like making the trade for Kristaps. The only thing is, Kristaps, is he going to be healthy? That's always the question with Kristaps. It's not a talent thing. He's extremely capable, but it's, hey, Kristaps, can you remain healthy for the long haul for us? That's always the big thing. That's the concern if you're an Atlanta fan. That was the concern if you were a Boston fan last year. Obviously, he wasn't available for the series against the Knicks, and they really needed him. So I would continue to say, or I would say Atlanta, of course you got players. No one's doubting the fact that you got players. Obviously, bringing in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's a very capable player. I think Luke Kennard's a really good pickup for you all as well. Let's see how it all fits together, I guess is the question. And also, Atlanta's been the definition of mid, fam. They've been the definition of mid for a long time. So let's see if they can break that barrier. But as of right now, I got them as the first team in the play-in. And rounding off these standings, actually, I'm going to go to 9. So 8th, I got to respect the team that was just in the ECF, the Indiana Pacers. And now people might say, you're putting them at 8, but you're saying respecting them? Yes, I'm saying I'm respecting them because they just lost 2 major impact players for the upcoming season. Of course, Tyrese, their best player due to injury, and he's gone for the whole season. And then Myles Turner going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Longest tenure pacer, big for the offensive space, and can knock down threes, can rebound, could be a good rim protector when he feels like it. But they still have talent on that roster. Pascal Siakam is a baller. We saw what Benedict Mathurin can do. He might slide into a starting role. Nembhard took a big step. Neesmith took a big step. They got the pieces. And also, they have the best coach in the Eastern Conference, and Rick Carlisle. I expect Indiana to be fighting to be fighting in the play-in and potentially taking that A seed in the playoffs. And number 9, which might be controversial for some folks, some folks might have them much higher, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. Here's the problem with the Sixers. Talent is undeniable, but the health is questionable at best. What are you going to get from Joel Embiid from a health standpoint? How many games are you going to be able to get out of them? Him and Paul George. Now, I'm not concerned with Jerry McCain. He's young, got hurt. I expect him to be fine. He was balling before he got hurt. Maxi's a stud. Let's see what VJ Edgecombe is. Explosive athlete, great defender, needs to work on the offensive side of the ball. But you need Embiid healthy. You need Paul George healthy. That's the question with this team. Can you stay healthy? And because of that, and because their history tells us no, I don't want to go ahead and overrank them. Would I be surprised if they're competing and they're a much higher seed in the East? No. But I can't just say freak injury, assuming they're healthy. You can't assume they're healthy because they never are. And that's no shot at anybody. It's just a fact. It's just a fact of the matter. And without Embiid and without Paul George, you saw that it was tough for Maxey. And Maxey also had a little injury stuff going on. They were not a very good team. They were not a very good team last year. So that is what I got in the East. I'll quickly run through that again. I got the Knicks 1, Cavs 2, Bucks 3, Orlando Magic 4, Boston Celtics 5, Detroit Pistons 6, Atlanta Hawks 7, Pacers 8, Sixers 9, and the 10, put in whoever you want. Miami, I guess, Chicago, if to keep Kobe White. I don't know. That's the rankings, but that's my opinion on the landscape of the West and the East so far through free agency. Some big winners, some big losers. The Texas Triangle is going to be money next year. Be on the lookout for them. Lakers fans, don't kill me for saying that you could potentially finish 8th in the West. Like I said, that could be 48 wins like it was for Memphis this year. People have made moves, in my opinion, to surpass you. Houston surpassed you last season. They got better. San Antonio got better. Healthy Wemby. Dallas, full season of AD. D'Lo to kind of stem the tide until Kyrie gets back. Cooper Flagg. That's going to be interesting. Denver, the team that you can't beat, got better. Minnesota, the team that beat you in 5 games last year, pretty much stayed the same minus Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You think Ant's going to get better next year? I do. That's the landscape of the NBA according to me, according to Infamously Speaking. Of course, feel free to sign off in the comments on the clips that we posted this episode. Let me know who are your top 8 teams in each conference, or if you only want to do top 6, talk playoff teams, that's totally cool too. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be on the lookout for our power ranking series coming soon. We're going to power rank all 30 teams in the NBA, let you know who we like the best. So be on the lookout for that. And we got a giveaway coming soon of Infamously Speaking merch. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate y'all tuning in if you made it this far. And as always, think critically, speak infamously. Love.